For me, Nick, as a composer, there's a million thoughts that come to mind looking at this. I'd like to share just a couple. The first thing is that the compositional idea as a sound object is so precisely detailed. You know, so many times I feel like my younger composition students, they bring me some pitches and some rhythms, and every other parameter of the music is kind of neglected. And yet we see here that these other parameters that we are perhaps brainwashed in our educational system to think as secondary can very well become primary. And indeed, the musical object is a whole. You know, articulation is not something different from the contour of the melody. It's not something different from the harmony. It's not something different from the dynamic. So everything is so well integrated, and you see that. The other thing that's really important to me is that the dialectic between the composer and the material, that it is a really, really live engagement all the way to the end of the process. And also the meticulous care with which he drafts transitional moments. That's really where you see all of the edits and everything else. The other thing, which I think is quite contemporary, is that I feel through all this attention to like really fine gradations of dynamics, articulation and all that, reminds me of the search in the late 19th century and 20th, beginning of 20th century to multiply the expressive means by looking, for example, into all the notes of the octave. In a way, the thing that you presented with a very impressive 20-step dynamic spectrum is a type of chromaticism in dynamics, if you wish. You know, I teach a class here at the Conservatory on the music of Xenakis and Ligeti. Ligeti in the 60s came upon the problem that he felt like all the pitches of the octave were used, so he was trying to think of other means to expand his palette, and he talks with reference to one of his piece ramifications about the idea of hyperchromaticism, finding another type of expression by looking at the notes that are in a way between the notes of the keyboard. It seems to me that there is a sense of hyperchromaticism here in the level of dynamics, that the message that Beethoven is delivering is so refined and so elegant and so emotively potent that those classifications of dynamics that exist at his time are not enough. And in a way he has to search in between. And for this reason, I think all of us composers, and I think you performers, find Beethoven very, very contemporary.